Living Word kids, it's Miss Anna. Thank you for joining me for another month of LW Kids Online. We have been learning about the power of praise and worship. Last month, we talked about King Jehoshaphat. What a name! One day, the king found out the other armies were planning on attacking him and his people. Most people would have gathered all of the people and told them to run. Not this king. He knew that God would help him. So the king and his people came together. They worshiped and prayed. God gave them specific instructions as they continued to worship God and follow his instructions. God fought their battle for them. God will help you just like he did King Jehoshaphat. Wow, there definitely is power in praise and worship. Let's look at another time praise and worship won the battle. This lesson is found in Joshua 6. We're going to learn a little bit about Joshua. Joshua was a helper to Moses. He was one of the 12 spies of Israel sent by Moses to explore the land of Canaan. Joshua was one of the spies that came back with a good report. Joshua and his friend Caleb came back and said the land was filled with many good things. And even though giants were living in the land, they could take it easily because God told them he had given them Canaan. Many did not want to go to Canaan. They were scared. After Moses died, Joshua led the Israelites to Canaan, and Joshua lived there for some time. In the book of Joshua, chapter 6, the Lord tells Joshua, I have given you Jericho, its king, and all its strong warriors. You and your fighting men should march around the town once a day for 6 days. 7 priests will walk ahead of the ark, a gold-plated chest carried from place to place where God's presence was, each carrying a ram's horn. On the 7th day, you are to march around the town 7 times with the priests blowing the horns. When you hear the priests give one long blast on the ram's horn, have all the people shout as loud as they can. Then the walls of the town will collapse and the people will charge straight into the town.
Wait a minute!
God just told Joshua to take a city that's protected by super high walls. You can't even see into the city because of the walls surrounding it. Could you imagine what Joshua and the people might have been thinking?
Are we really going to walk around these walls 7 times, give a shout when the priests blow their horns and the walls will come tumbling down?
Well, Joshua knew that when the Lord gave you a city, he would make a way. So Joshua called together the priests and said,
Take up the ark of the Lord's covenant and assign 7 priests to walk in front of it, each carrying a ram's horn. March around the town, and the armed men will lead the way in front of the ark of the Lord.
After Joshua spoke to people, the 7 priests with the ram's horns started marching in the presence of the Lord, blowing the horns as they marched, and the ark of the Lord's covenant followed behind them. Some of the armed men marched in front of the priests with the horns and some behind the ark, with the priests continually blowing the horns.
Do not shout. Don't even talk. Not a single word from any of you until I say to shout. Then shout.
So the ark of the Lord was carried around the town once that day, and then everyone returned to spend the night in the camp. Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests again carried the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests with the ram's horns marched in front of the ark of the Lord, blowing their horns. Again, armed men marched both in front and behind the priests with the horns and behind the ark of the Lord. All this time, the priests were blowing their horns. On the 2nd day, they again marched around the town once and returned to camp. They followed this pattern for 6 days. On the 7th day, the Israelites got up at dawn and marched around the town as they had done before. But this time, they went around the town 7 times. The 7th time around, as the priests sounded the long blast on their horns, Joshua commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the town." Jericho and everything in it must be completely destroyed as an offering to the Lord. Only Rahab and the other in her house will be spared, for she protected our spies.
Do not take any of the things set apart for destruction, or yourselves will be completely destroyed, and you will bring trouble on the camp of Israel. Everything made from silver, gold, bronze, or iron is sacred to the Lord and must be brought into his treasury.
When the people heard the sound of the ram's horns, they shouted as loud as they could. Suddenly, the walls of Jericho collapsed, and the Israelites charged straight into the town and captured it. When the Lord makes a promise, he never breaks it. He promised Joshua and the Israelites the city of Jericho, and when they followed his instructions, the walls came tumbling down and they captured the city. There was supernatural power in the blowing of the ram's horn and in their shout. Supernatural power that caused physical walls to come tumbling down. Always remember, God has given you the victory. We have to be careful with what we say. Let the words you say declare victory, and the praise you sing give him thanks for that victory. Until next time, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, and there is supernatural power in your praise and worship. Bye!